Who makes the best football shirts in the UK? In today's video, we'll be seeing what Hummel are bringing to the table for the 2021-22 season. Hello and welcome to Behind the Chevrons, the show which digs deeper into the world of Hummel. And the show which talks a little bit more about these things, chevrons, this simple but beautiful symbol which has decorated so many beautiful football shirts over the years. My name is Phil and I'll be your host today. And if you're wondering what Behind the Chevrons is all about, it is all about football shirts. But not just the football shirts themselves, but the stories behind them, the people behind them. People who have designed the shirts, the fans that wear the shirts in the terraces, and people who collect shirts from all over the world, even though they've never even seen or heard of the team before. So that's what Behind the Chevrons is all about. Thank you for joining us, and there are a lot of good shirts to come, so there's lots to look forward to. So what are we talking about in today's episode? Well, we're going to travel to my home country, to the UK, to look at all that Hummel are doing in the UK for clubs around the country from the Premier League down to League Two. And I'm joined by a very special guest, a man who has designed all these shirts that we're going to be talking about today. So I'll introduce Rob. And Rob, thank you for coming to the show. How are you?
Good to be here, Phil. Yeah, really good, thanks. Really good.
So Rob, I've already mentioned your name, but tell us a bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you do for a living.
So I'm Rob Revel. I'm the head of design for Hummel UK from London, and we design football kits.
That is, already I'm so jealous of you because that is a dream job. And Rob, I want to know a little bit about your background getting into the job. So when did you join Hummel, and was that something which you'd been doing before, or was this a new job? Tell us more about that.
So I joined Hummel probably about 6 years ago. I've been in the fashion business in varying degrees for the last 15, 16 years. But this was my first pure sportswear role. Not a bad one to start the journey with.
Really good one to start with, yeah. Yeah, and coming into the job, were Hummel someone that was very much on your radar, or were you kind of more sort of broadly interested in football? What was that like?
I'd say broadly interested, because Hummel had kind of disappeared from the UK. Right. So really, unless you were around in the 80s, which I was, unfortunately, you're not going to really know them. They weren't a major player. Yep. Thankfully, we are now. But I came from a rugby background, right. So I played rugby from when I was young. I played professional rugby before I went into fashion design. That's how I ended up at Hummel.
So let's talk a little bit more about Hummel in the UK. And let's go back to the 80s to talk about Hummel's heritage. And I've got a very special shirt underneath the table, which I'm now going to reveal. And it is this wonderful Southampton shirt, which you might have thought was a Denmark shirt at first glance, but it's actually Southampton's 1987 shirt. Of course, in the same design, in the same template as that famous Denmark 1986 shirt. And as we were saying earlier, even though Hummel have really risen over recent years in terms of their presence in the UK, they have a great history, a great heritage, and many other clubs had a shirt in this design. You could think of Aston Villa or Coventry, these clubs who had this Denmark shirt in their own colours. And Rob, do you have any memories of this shirt, or what does this make you think of as you see it?
This was a little bit before my time, but it's one of the iconic shirts. Yep. It's I think of the West Germany shirt, which kind of got me into kit design in the first place.
Yeah.
But then this is one that kind of changed the game for me. It's just a beautiful shirt. It's just simplicity, but something that had never been seen before.
Yeah.
And you can see with like the remakes from maybe not Hummel, that are kind of looking at this for inspiration still to this day. And
obviously, Southampton have just signed a deal with Hummel. Have you had loads of people asking you to remake this shirt? I'm sure. Has that been a kind of clamour from fans? Yeah.
I think as soon as we walked through the doors on the first day at St Mary's, I think this is the first thing. Yeah, and it's something that obviously has to come.
Sure.
We didn't want to do it the first season because I think it's I think that's what people expected.
Yep.
We're Hummel, so we don't do what people expect.
Nice.
I think we will see it in some form in the future, but I don't know when.
Nice. No, that sounds good. Nice of Rob. Let's jump from the 80s now to this season. And I'll bring out both the current Southampton third shirt and the Southampton home shirt. And Rob, I really want to get your thoughts on the process behind these, the thinking behind these. Just before we start, what was it kind of like coming to Southampton? You talked a bit about it, but a new club. Did you have a shorter turnaround time to get these designed, or was it kind of quite nice for you? What was the whole process like?
This is probably the tightest turnaround of kits that I've ever done.
Really?
Ever.
Really?
I'd say from discovering that we had the contract with Southampton to kit sign-off was 5 days.
You're serious?
5 days.
Wait, hang on. You're telling me it took you 5 days from start to finish to get all these 3 kits done?
Design, concept, sketching.
Hang on, I'm still getting my head around that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would a typical kit process be like?
A normal kit process, which we like in the design room, can take anything from 6 weeks to 3 months, depending on the club or depending on if there's anything special that we need to do with it, if there's any anniversaries, extra research. With this, it was a late signed deal with the added pressure of my MD being a Southampton fan. We had to turn it around really quickly. So sometimes you look for threads and you try and find threads wherever they are, but sometimes threads kind of just land in your lap.
Yeah, so let's talk about those threads. You've got 5 days to do this. Where did you start? What was the starting point?
I think it was the 20-year anniversary. It was an easy one. We could have gone down an old school Hummel route, which we kind of did. But it was great that it was the 20-year anniversary, which made us everybody feel old in the office. To think that Southampton had been at St Mary's for 20 years. So that was kind of where the idea for all the kits came. So I think the initial concept is on the inside of the jersey.
Yes, yeah, you can see that, yeah.
So it was, what does St Mary's and the Dell look like? And that was pretty much where it started. So sketched up two stadiums and then was, let's take it from there.
Yeah. And what I love about when you see a team's kits is those kind of shared elements between a home, away or third. And immediately, as you've said there, on the inside neck of the home, if you move to the third now, of course, that same graphic represented on the body. Tell us about that. What was it like to kind of get this on the third shirt?
I think this is what I wanted as a concept from the start. So usually you start with home kit and you work your way through. But once I'd created the pattern for this, it was, I want to see that on a whole body. And then it was trying to sell it into the club. Because when you draw something like this, this is embossed. So you can touch it and it's the same colour virtually unless you tilt it. When you draw it and present it to the board, it looks crazy.
Yeah, they're thinking this is too many lines here.
So I was like, honestly, trust me, this is looking incredible. So this was lovely to do. And it's one of the first times that Southampton have actually gone tonal with their crest as well.
And that's something which I've certainly noticed kind of from a broad perspective, a lot of clubs doing that, being more open to doing that. And just in terms of the colours, actually, briefly, something like this third kit, when you go to Southampton, do you kind of say, this is the colour we want to go to? Do you give them various options? What's that like?
I think a lot of people think that you kind of present 3 kits. You go, here's the 3 options on home kit. I'd say even though we had this tight turnaround, we must have presented 15 options on home kit, 15 options on away kit, 15 options on third kit to the club, and then went into goalkeepers as well. For most clubs, we'll do that. I'd say if you talk to the clubs, which I'm sure you will, we probably give them a better service than they've had before from other kit suppliers.
No, the end result is fantastic, Rob, and obviously, really excited to see another Hummel team in the Premier League, and I think you've done a great job.
Yeah, so are we. Thank you very much.
Oh, nice one. So there we go, guys. That is just, again, a little taste of what Hummel are doing in the UK. Great to hear some of these stories from Rob there about the designs. But what are the players that are actually going to wear these shirts? Think about them. We've now got a short video hearing from Southampton themselves, hearing from some of the players about these shirts. So let's take a look.
The design has changed. I like the fact they've gone back to very traditional red and white, the one I'm holding right now. I feel like fitting is very important for players in this modern era. How they perform, they want to feel good on the field, so I feel like this ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, I think definitely the new kits, because I think while it still has a really good sort of retro look about it, they have all the modern technologies that the shirts have these days, and they're breathable materials and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely the more modern kits.
I would prefer to play in the new generation of shirts, the way they feel and they fit, and even if you sweat, obviously we sweat a lot when we're playing, you don't feel like it's going to be heavy on you like it would potentially in the 80s, like Harry said. The only thing I would swap is the shorts, because I like the really small sort of shorts like, you know, back in the day like John Barnes used to wear, you know, type thing. So yeah, that's a bit of me.
I'd pick the home one, the one which is like red on this side and like a different type of red, just because obviously it looks quite nice, and obviously the design on the arms as well is very nice as well, so I'll probably pick that.
I actually really like the old, the dark blue one. I just think it's not as traditional a Southampton kit as most of the other ones, so it's something a little bit out there. So for me, that one stands out a little bit more than the other one. So yeah, I'd probably go with that one.
I always feel like they've gone back to, every time I think of Southampton, I do think of red and white stripes, and the fact they've got a subtle little chevrolets there going down, only on the white, well, it's very subtle on the red, and obviously on the shoulders. Just, like I say, just Southampton red and white at St Mary's, obviously it was Old Dale back in the day. You know, I always feel like something that's what they should wear all the time. So yeah, I'm personally really like it, really do.
I like this kit as well, just because obviously this sort of commemorates 20 years since being at St Mary's, and obviously you got the stadium designs on the front. I think that's very clever and it's unique. I've not seen many clubs do, or any teams, any sponsors do this. So I think this is something which stands out, and I do really like this kit.
I think for me, like, the yellow and the blue is such a traditional Southampton away kit. I think it's just a very classic looking kit. I like how it's just simple and like a crisp design, like just plain blue and yellow. That's what the away kit should be like.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, just simple. I kind of like this sort of, obviously this little bit behind the collar as well, representing St Mary's for 20 years as well, so very subtle, nice little feel. Yeah, it tops it off really well.
My favourite one's the home shirt. I think it's just a classic Southampton kit. You know, it's one of my favourite ones that we've had over the last few years. I just think it's simple but really effective, and the subtleties and the designs of it. I think it's a really, really smart kit.
Great to get some thoughts there from some of the Southampton players. And Rob, I just want to quickly bring you in again. What's it like hearing from the players? What do you think when you hear player feedback about shirts?
I think it's great, but it's more a relief than anything, because you can create a great shirt and you want it to sell and you want the fans to be happy with it, but if the players aren't, then what's the point? So
sure.
yeah, that's really good.
Now let's move on to Hummel's other Premier League team, Everton. And I've got a really nice Everton shirt here, which we're now going to talk through. And this is, of course, the Everton away shirt, which was released at the end of last season, but is now being worn as the away shirt. Rob, I want to know more about the story behind this. A lot of people were talking about this. Tell us about this one.
This is, I think, what we were talking about before, where it's just an exercise in simplicity.
Great.
You can't do anything to this shirt, really, to jazz it up. It hasn't been done before. The fans have been crying out for a Blackwatch remake.
Right.
So if you're going to do it, you need to stay really pure with it. And I think this is the great thing that we tried to do. So wherever you see, the only detail is the sash, which is in the pink. It's not a red. That was actually concepted.
Yeah, and that's interesting because a lot of people, naturally, their first comment, it's red, it's red.
Yeah.
Do you, as a designer, how conscious are you of that? Or do you kind of think, you know, it's us against the world type thing, we'll put it out there? What's it like?
I think the thing with Everton is that we've got a really good relationship with the club and with Fanatics as well.
Right.
And Fanatics have got a load of Everton supporters for them there. So we get good fan insight before we actually go into production.
Nice.
So with this, we were kind of confident. We knew that this was probably going to cause a few issues, maybe.
Sure.
But sales kind of say otherwise. So
Nice. And I want to jump back to, you mentioned the Blackwatch. Could you tell us just what that is, for anyone that doesn't know? And not only what it was, but how did you kind of go about researching that? Was it something you did through the club, or was it kind of independent? What was that like?
It was something to do with conjunction with the club and Fanatics, to be fair. Historical kits. This is probably one of the most historical kits. The story about where Liverpool got their red colour from can kind of be taken from this shirt.
Okay,
So actually, Liverpool was red, or Everton was red. But we wanted to stay really pure with it. So the only colour on it is a sash, like I said.
Yeah.
And all the chevrons, all the Hummel, all the authentic signs, everything else is tonal.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do anything else to kind of promote Hummel,
Yep.
really. It
Yep.
was more about promoting a historical kit.
And I saw a few people as well comment, they said, oh, it's kind of like a blackout kit. And that's one of those things, you know, trends come and go.
Yeah.
As a designer, is that something which you think about, or is it more a case of, actually, no, we're going to look at the shirt on an individual basis rather than trying to go with a trend? How does that look
I
like?
think, yeah, trends, it's difficult with trends because we work so far ahead. And
Right.
obviously trends work so far ahead because they're called trends.
Sure.
But you have to stay pure to the club and the city, really.
Mm.
So the way that we usually generally look is talk to the club.
Yep, great.
And then what else is linked to the club,
Mm.
the city? And it's always the fans. And what will the fans actually get on board with?
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
doesn't generally have to be anything to do with the club itself. It could be from their
Sure.
local area.
Sure.
So that's generally where we start.
Yeah. And then, so in terms of that conversation with the club, again, is it a case of like go in and like, how do you get to know these clubs? Do you actually, go to them, or do you just have lots of conversations? What does that look like?
Yeah, we go and meet with the club
No.
a lot. So, I mean, we were talking before, the kit process generally is about a year.
Right.
I think a lot of people think that it comes to market and it's done and we make 100,000 of them like that, it's done.
Yeah.
We start the concept about a year before
Okay.
and then design, backwards and forwards, sign off, and then the hard work starts because you've got to tell somebody else how to make a drawing.
Yeah,
So that's
generally.
generally where a lot of design work gets done. The finite little details get added to it.
Yeah.
So once you've got it signed off, you're still designing.
Yeah. And how do things like sponsors or late changes complicate things? Have you got any stories of situations where you've had to make a change, or maybe you've had a design which has been really good and then you've had to change it at the last minute? You don't have to say who.
I love sponsors. I think everybody loves sponsors. I think when I first started, I thought I didn't like sponsors on shirts, but now I think it completes it.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah.
I think it helps if you know what the sponsor is going to be, because then you
Yes.
can build the design.
Yep.
But the world that we live in now,
Yep.
you generally don't. I think out of the pro clubs that we've got, there's probably only 2 or 3 that have got multi-year contracts.
Okay. Yeah.
With the whole COVID situation, it's generally a year-to-year deal.
Yeah.
So you never know what sponsor you're going to get, which
Yeah.
always makes things difficult,
It makes
especially
it
when you're
tricky.
doing sashes.
That's it. Yeah. And actually, I want to talk. I'm interested to know in terms of like how the aesthetics of the sponsor look, because a lot of fans say, why is the sponsor keeping their original colours? Why can't they change?
Yeah.
As a designer, are you the one who's kind of going to the club and saying it'd be great if it could be this colour, or is it a case? Do you go direct to the sponsors? How does that work?
Don't go direct to the sponsors unless we get given access,
Okay.
because I'd be badgering them all the time. It's like
Can you make this change?
you've got to keep it tonal. You've got to keep it in concept with the kit. But
Yeah.
we push as hard as we can, because I think that's the hardest thing as a designer when you've designed a kit which is hopefully great. It gets released and the only comment is, "Oh, looks great, but the sponsor's crap. Why didn't they change the sponsor?" It's like, I can't change the sponsor.
I can't do everything. Yeah. No, that's it. No, that's really interesting to hear. And I just want to know as well, in terms of kind of seeing your shirts in the Premier League, just talk to me about that, because I think a lot of people, they might see it as quite a corporate commercial thing. But at the end of the day, you're a fan of football, you're designing kits and they're being worn, you're seeing them on telly. What are those emotions like for you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. He's like, everybody grew up with Match of the Day. So
Exactly, yeah.
when we got our first kit on Match of the Day, it was a great
buzzing.
moment.
Yeah.
And now, we got 2. I think the first game of this season was a Hummel derby.
It was.
So I think it was the first Premier League Hummel derby ever.
Amazing.
Not a bad start to the season.
That's so cool.
Not a bad start. I think the buzz is when you see the kids wearing them now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I remember what it was like growing up when you got that new shirt, when you got like the England 1990 shirt, you
Yeah,
had some
yeah.
badgering to get this, or Newcastle's Grandad collar shirt. It's like,
Yeah.
I remember that buzz, and
Yeah,
it's like, it's
yeah.
great when you see all the kids just wearing them. It's amazing.
So cool. And that feeling never gets old. Right?
No, not at all. No.
So good. Rob, thank you so much once again. Great to see this shirt. And actually, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I really like this shirt, which I probably shouldn't say on camera, but as someone who loves shirts, I really like this story, really like the kits.
Thank you.
On Behind the Chevrons, we're going to ask every guest to bring in a gift or a couple of gifts. So Rob, show us what you brought today and let's talk about the shirts that you brought.
This is something that's pretty close to my heart. So this is Northampton's home kit for 21-22. I went to university in Northampton.
Really?
So this is really close to my heart. They've actually got the sponsor logo of my university on the shirt. And the reason behind this shirt, it looks like a very simple shirt, but I think when you get close to it and you can feel it like we're doing now, it's got some crazy pattern in it. So Northampton are called the Cobblers.
Right, yeah.
Massive shoe community there.
Yeah, you can see the shoe there, can't you?
Shoes actually in the crest.
Yeah.
When I was at uni, I did an internship at Church's Shoes, and the pattern is just all from Brogan. So the Brogan that you see on the shoes.
Is that what it is? See, it's great you said that, Rob, because before coming on this, I hadn't seen much about the shirt. Seeing this in person, the first thing that grabs you is that pattern. And now you've said about the brogues, you can see it. You can really see it.
I think it's just nice. It's one of these shirts where you don't have to be crazy. Crazy's cool. Crazy is what we do well.
Yeah, it is.
But you don't have to be crazy all the time. You can do something that's really subtle and you catch glimpses of it. And I think we've done that a couple of times this season.
Yeah. And this, I think, for a home shirt is so good, isn't it? Particularly when, a club's got their colours or whatever, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. Do you find home shirts difficult sometimes to design?
They're definitely the most difficult because there's more restrictions on them. Obviously, everybody has to have their home colour, and you can't really change that unless you're being really daring.
Sure.
So you have to think outside the box sometimes, otherwise it looks samey. And a lot of that's to do with the design, my design team, and a lot of it's just talking to the clubs themselves and seeing how far they're willing to push it.
Right. Very good. And what else have you got for us today, Rob?
So the second shirt I have is Coventry Cities. So again, we're on the home tilt.
Yes, yep.
But this kind of shows you different ways of how you can do it.
Right. So talk us through some of the elements here. There's a few things going on.
So the elements, the first one is the main graphic on the front. So this was taken directly from the crest itself.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you don't stray away from the crest or what's traditional for the club, you can do it in a different way.
Sure.
So we wanted to do a really cool graphic about a phoenix rising from the ashes because Coventry are on the way up.
Yes,
They're a
nice.
cemented championship team now, and it's been nice to be on the journey with them the whole way through.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I don't want to jump in and talk about Coventry because as someone like me who's a neutral, I've really noticed Coventry shirts over the last few years. For you, do you like that sort of journey? How is that for you in terms of a club? Is that something which is kind of driven by the club and you, or in other words, do you find some clubs just really buy into that kind of process of shirts?
Yes, definitely. Like? It's some clubs do, some clubs don't.
Sure.
Coventry definitely do.
They do, yeah.
They're really cool guys to work with.
Awesome.
They're open to anything.
A
lot of the time, it's kind of like drawing them in a little bit.
Reining them in,
I think I've gone far enough with the design, but they want to take it a little bit further. And it's like, okay. But I think, we've been really lucky with the way that the kits have been received for the last 3 years. We're just finishing up on next year's kits now as well. And
Great.
We've definitely pushed it.
Something to look forward to. Nice. And Rob, just before we move on, I want to talk briefly about kind of shirt construction and things like that. So already in these two shirts, you've got things like different collars, the cuffs are different. For yourself as a designer, how much of an input do you have in terms of the kind of the physical elements of the shirt? Or are you focusing exclusively on aesthetics? What's your role as a designer there?
Everything really. We've got a really good development team back at the office. So they kind of help scout the best factories. We're lucky to work with the best factories and manufacturers in the world.
Yep.
And it's all about the fabric. So we're always looking for the next fabric. We're always looking for the next neckline in conjunction with Hummel HQ.
Yes.
So we kind of need to get this red line thread running through everything. But we do it start to finish. It's not just about if it's got a cool graphic on it.
Sure.
Because that's only half the job. The good thing about all the shirts this season is that you'll see this little Eco 8 symbol on it.
Yep.
And they're fully recycled jerseys. So every shirt is made from 8 plastic bottles. Nice. 8 plastic bottles is about a metre of fabric, which takes about one shirt to make. So.
Nice. No, thank you so much, Rob. So there we go, guys. That was a little bit of a closer look at what Hummel are doing in the UK and some of the stories behind these wonderful shirts. And if you liked any of the shirts that you saw, you can actually win them in our big giveaway. And we're doing a giveaway to celebrate the launch of Behind the Chevrons. All the details in the description. So get involved, add another one of these wonderful shirts to your collection. And that'll do it for episode 1. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon for the next episode.